So each year we do a creative curriculum, which is 2.5 days of vertically grouped activities. So vertical grouping is where we have students from years 1 to 6 all mixed up, and they will cover each area of the curriculum, and this year the theme was fairy tales. Fairy tales are a safe way for students to develop critical thinking. There's usually a hero and a villain, and students can identify with either. Good will overcome evil, and students then are able to think about their emotions, how they would approach certain situations and the outcomes around those. So the activities this year were Ms McLean, the Year 3 teacher, she did food technology where the students all baked fairy cakes. The fairy tale that she chose was Goldilocks, and the students were reminded that they needed to eat the cakes when they were neither too hot nor too cold, but just right. Mr Cutler, who took maths, problem solving and reasoning, had an escape room style event where students had to work collaboratively to save Cinderella and ensure that she would go to the ball. Mr Cooper covered diversity by using a fairy tale based on Anansi, which is a sort of cheeky spider god, and the students in their groups had to develop 2-voice poems which they devised and then performed to their peers. Mr Radlett did humanities, so he used Hansel and Gretel as his fairy tale, and they were lost in the Black Woods. He did a bit of history on the Brothers Grimm, and then Hansel and Gretel, who were lost in the Black Forest, had to be rescued by students who would put coordinates on a map and find a safe exit route for Hansel and Gretel. Mrs Lewis and Mr Cairns used the tale of the 3 little pigs in their forest school activity. They had purchased 3 little soft piggy toys, and the students had to create a safe dwelling for each of them, and then the support member of staff, dressed up as the big bad wolf and with a leaf blower, went around trying to see which structure could withstand the test. Miss Gray, who's the Key Stage coordinator for science, based her science activity on the 3 billy goats graph. She coordinated this with DT, where students had junk modelling and had to design and build a bridge, the integrity of which needed to support the weight of each sized billy goat as it crossed the bridge over a tub of water, which was a lot of fun. One design was so successful that the bridge actually took the weight of, to start with, a Year 2 child, but the confidence within the group was such that they popped a Year 6 child on, and the bridge is still standing. Miss Hardy and Miss Albinski covered the curricular areas of DT and IT. Their fairy tale was The Gingerbread Man. The students each had a wooden spoon and an array of craft materials to choose from. They designed an outfit for their character and then made the character, and Miss Prince had made a wonderful performing stage with the theatre curtains and everything, and the students would then record each other retelling this fairy tale using that prompt. Mrs Stevens and Mrs Jones used Jack and the Beanstalk as the story that they read to their group. The students had a choice with which to cover the curriculum areas of art, oracy and IT. They selected a fairy tale, they painted on up to 6 stones, and then they had to sequence the stones, retell the story to each other, and then record the story using the stones to support the sequence of it. I wanted the sport department to be involved this year, so in the game session on Tuesday I approached Mr Barnes and Miss Stace and asked that they read The Enormous Turnip and get the students to do a tug of war. What was particularly wonderful with that activity is the idea that every member of the team counts, because the fairy tale reinforces that it's not until the smallest member, which is the bird, joins the team that they are successful in removing the turnip from the ground. The buzz around the prep school for those 2.5 days was incredible. An enormous amount of smiling faces and positive comments could be heard as they moved from activity to activity. And an event like this is only as successful as the team that work on it. The team are fantastic. The Year 1 to 6 staff had to teach 18 sessions back to back, and we were very ably supported by senior staff as well, so enormous thanks go to all involved. The benefit of having the opportunity of teaching in this style is that an objective is introduced and then is very much child-centred. The children work collaboratively to think about how they are going to achieve that objective, so you get a whole range of different outcomes based on the students' understanding and determination to fulfil the task.